At the beginning of the movie, we are shown a captain named Pete Michel who is repairing a jet in a hangar. Inside the hangar, there are many photos that hold memories of the time when he was still a member of the Top Gun squad. Meanwhile, Maverick wants to visit his colleague at an airstrip. Upon arrival, Maverick finds news that his friend's aircraft project will be discontinued because it failed to attain the agreed-upon speed target of 10 Mach. It's not an easy target, but it challenges Maverick to prove that the plane can fly at extremely high speeds in the hands of the appropriate pilot. After a short period, military officials are invited to watch the plane that Maverick would fly, and it is able to meet the speed target. After everything was ready, the aircraft test was carried out. At the beginning, Hondo advised Maverick not to be dangerous in conducting the test at such high speeds. However, Maverick was not someone who worried such warnings. He still did the test and was convinced that he would be able to attain a speed of 10 Mach. While in the air, Maverick propelled the aircraft to a speed of 8 Mach. At 8 Mach, the engine temperature was still normal, but things changed when they reached 9 Mach. At that speed, the glass and body of the airplane began to display a substantial increase in temperature. However, this did not make Maverick lose his nerve. Maverick continued to push the aircraft to a speed of 10 Mach. When trying to surpass the stated limit, regrettably, the aircraft engine shut down and caused a collision in the air. Fortunately, Maverick survived the tragedy. Then, Maverick was called to meet Admiral Key. It came out that Maverick was sent to Top Gun again under the recommendation of a military official. Long story short, Maverick returned to the Top Gun unit. Top Gun is a collection of America's best trained pilots. In Top Gun, Maverick faced two admirals dubbed Cyclone and Warlock. Cyclone and Warlock talked to Maverick about the mission that needs to be carried out. The goal was to destroy an unlawful uranium enrichment plant that was established by breaking the North Atlantic Treaty. The Pentagon assigned Top Gun to blow up the location before it became fully operational. The mission was considered difficult because the target location was in a valley surrounded by highly sophisticated missiles and defended by special forces. After Maverick described his plan for this mission, Warlock unveiled 12 of the top Top Gun grads. Among them was a pilot called Bradley Rooster, who was the son of his slain colleague, Gus Bradshaw. Because of this, Maverick hesitated to take on this assignment. Cyclone advised Maverick that he may refuse this mission if he was unsure, as Maverick was truly chosen based on Iceman's desire. After that, Maverick went to a bar where pilots generally convene. There, he encountered his old sweetheart, Penny Benjamin. Shortly later, the Top Gun pilots began to gather at the bar. The Top Gun pilots were dubbed Hangman, Coyote, Winix, Bob, Fanboy, Payback, Rooster, and few other pilots. Maverick was wistful as he observed the youthful pilots, especially when he saw Rooster. Rooster made Maverick remember his deceased pal. The next day, Warlock announced Maverick as the new trainer of the best gun pilots for this risky mission. With a wealth of battle expertise, Maverick wants to test the talents of the pilots. Before the training session began, Maverick had a dispute with Rooster. This made Hangman and Phoenix ponder what occurred between them. In this training session, the young pilots will work together as a team to disable Captain Maverick in close combat. Hangman was on the same team as Rooster. Hangman asked Rooster about the exact nature of his quarrel with Maverick. Rooster did not answer, as if he was attempting to hide something. The situation heated up again when Maverick showed off his talents on Rooster's jet, which led them to a hazardous duel. They soared beyond the lower limit without comprehending how risky it was. Phoenix then approached Rooster and questioned what actually transpired. Rooster finally confessed that Maverick had taken all of his data from the Navy and blocked his career as a pilot. On the other hand, Maverick was scolded by Cyclone for endangering his pilot by flying too low beyond the minimal limit. Maverick indicated that flying low will make the pilots achieve the job more easily. Then, Maverick asked Cyclone to approve the suggested flight restriction. Meanwhile, Hangman and Coyote looked at old Top Gun pictures, when Hangman saw that Rooster's father was previously Maverick's flying partner. During his leisure time, Maverick returned to the bar and met Penny's daughter, Amelia. After returning to Top Gun, it looked that Maverick fell in love again with Penny, his previous sweetheart. In the next training session, the pilots had to practice flying low through a valley, which was their toughest obstacle, especially since they only had 2.5 minutes to get out of the valley. Then, they practiced flying using simulation. In the simulation, only Rooster was able to fulfill the target of 2.5 minutes, but he was disqualified for giving the opponent ample time to attack him. However, Rooster disagreed with the decision, declaring that if there were adversaries, he would fight back and would not die. A conflict erupted when Hangman discussed Rooster's father's death during a joint training session with Maverick in the past. That night, Iceman requested Maverick to come see him. Iceman was suffering from an illness that made it impossible for him to talk, so he could only communicate through writing. Maverick ultimately told him that he was not great at training someone, he was only competent at being a fighter jet pilot. Maverick also commented about Rooster, claiming that if Rooster was deployed on this operation, he would surely die. But on the other side, if he didn't send Rooster on this mission, Rooster would detest him even more. In a difficulty, Maverick requested Iceman for help in relieving him from the task of instructing Top Gun. But Iceman convinced Maverick that he was the most worthy person to instruct Top Gun. The next day, Cyclone was startled that Maverick and the pilots abruptly disappeared. It found out that they were all playing football on the beach as a means to recharge and improve their teamwork. The following day, Warlock got intelligence that the uranium enrichment plant would work faster than previously expected, therefore they had to extend the mission timeline to destroy the plant before it operated entirely. Then, Captain Maverick outlined the most perilous component of this endeavor. First, they would fly in a wing combination through very steep hills. After then, the first team had to hit the target so that the second team could detonate the plant. Then, they all had to travel home by ascending a very high mountain. This technique forced them to endure gravity when trying to reach the peak, which is why pilot abilities and competence are necessary for this mission. The last simulation was then conducted, with Maverick assigned as the enemy aircraft. After the training session, Maverick talked to Rooster about the death of Gus, Rooster's father. Maverick withdrew Rooster's file since he didn't want to lose another loved one. He didn't want Rooster to meet the same fate as his father, who perished during a training session. Maverick's melancholy returned when his pal Iceman died from an illness. Due to Iceman's passing, Maverick was eventually fired from Top Gun. The top officials of Top Gun were not fans of Maverick's rule-breaking behavior. In the depths of his sadness, Maverick met Penny. Penny provided him encouragement not to give up on Rooster and his friends. Cyclone now seized charge of the mission. According to Cyclone, Maverick's plan was exceedingly impractical for the pilots. Suddenly, they were all shocked by Maverick's move that the plan could be fulfilled in less than 2 minutes. After seeing Maverick's incredible action, Cyclone trusted him to fly and lead the expedition. Finally, the day arrived when they would carry out the assignment. Maverick chose the crew that would carry out the mission. In the first team, Maverick chose Bob and Phoenix. In the second team, Maverick chose Payback and Funboy. Meanwhile, Rooster was the co-pilot who performed a vital part in this mission. Their jets took off from the aircraft carrier runway, and before entering enemy territory, the aircraft carrier released a Tomahawk missile to demolish the runway and the mountain area. With the devastation of the mountain region runway, Maverick and his men were able to sneak in before the patrol planes caught them. Rooster fell behind, but finally managed to catch up with Maverick and the others. They all finally arrived to the towering mountains, and Maverick maneuvered his plane, followed by the other planes. After successfully blowing up the factory, they had to return home while avoiding hostile missiles that discovered them. Rooster ran out of fuel, and Maverick had to maneuver behind Rooster's jet to shoot the fuel tank. Unfortunately, this action led his own jet to be shot down. Rooster worried and asked the others to aid Maverick, but they were forced to return to the aircraft carrier. Even Hangman, who was on the rescue squad, was banned from searching for Maverick. This was done because Cyclone did not want to take any risks that would result in extra casualties. It turns out that unexpectedly, Maverick managed to survive the tragedy. However, his whereabouts was instantly noticed by an opposing chopper, till suddenly Rooster rushed to his rescue. In order to leave alive, they hijacked an old enemy plane, and after successfully taking off, Maverick then sent a signal to the aircraft carrier, and everyone on the ship was amazed to hear that Maverick and Rooster had survived. But suddenly, two enemy fighter jets intercepted them. Maverick was forced to fight with the ancient jet, and with his talents, he managed to shoot down the two opposing planes. Not stopping there was still one enemy plane that quickly emerged to threaten Maverick. As Maverick had ran out of ammo, he and Rooster could only wait for their jet to be shot down. Suddenly, to their astonishment, Hangman appeared and shot down the opposing plane, and they finally survived their operation. At the end of the movie, Rooster helped Maverick restore the plane and Penny arrived with her child to greet Maverick. After that, Maverick took Penny flying with the plane, and the movie ends. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.